Ready?
Yes.
The title of my speech is A Utopian World. 2 years ago, Chilean radio station Radio Bio Bio documented a sitch where 5 thieves broke into a man's house to presumably commit a burglary. However, this wasn't your normal, ordinary burglary because the man proceeded to defend his family with the gun he illegally owned, resulting in the death of one of the criminals. Now, despite how bizarre this is, I think most people would agree that the consequence was fair and just, right? Well, wouldn't you be surprised to know that that man is currently in custody for homicide and his trial hasn't even started yet? Today, we'll be analyzing morally questionable situations like these, as well as taking a look into the problems of seeking a perfect world and taking a deep dive into the issues of analyzing an objective perfection. But what if we backtracked a bit? Could you say that you notice anything wrong with the story? Because, believe it or not, most people would. Why was the man arrested for defending himself? His wife was there as a witness, and not to mention the thieves too. Perhaps we're asking the wrong question. Maybe we should be asking why, or better said, how. Yes, how is it that in my entire neighborhood we all know where the local carjacker lives, but the man who puts in time and effort to get a weapons license and defend his family gets arrested? No, I am so sorry, you can't do this. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so sorry once more, but this is one of the several examples of my country that I can give you of, you guessed it, injustice. Although injustice happens everywhere, randomly or not, with bias or perhaps with none of it at all. However, if there's anything important to learn from this, it's the fact that the man who truly got punished was the man who truly tried to build his ideal life. Although, ideal or not, we come into an interesting problem when we try to apply a quote-unquote perfect life to nearly every single living being. Sites like VictorPest have documented how American ethologist John Callahan proved this by supplying many rats with a practically infinite source of food and water, only for them to die out because they literally had no reason to keep living. Sites like The Guardian have written on how even billionaires suffer from this. Heck, there's even a SpongeBob episode where Squidward goes to his quote-unquote perfect world only to realize it's a loop and hate it, and you're probably wondering where I'm going with this. You see, the truth is, at the end of the day, many of us always seek to have a perfect world, a utopian world, if you will. But in reality, that world doesn't exist. Or perhaps you could say it does. Perhaps it's the world we live in right now. The world we've hated, cried in, suffered upon. It's what makes us truly alive, human. A world with everything to have is a world with nothing to do. Although, what if that world did exist? Could it say that its objective perfection is real? Ironically, problems like this have already been talked about quite a bit, and it is a very recurrent theme in sports. Gymnastics, ice skating, and sometimes more niche sports like professional yo-yo competitions, which I'm actually using for this speech. As a matter of fact, content creator Resprit once documented how Hajime Miura, a yo-yo prodigy, competed in, well, the international worldwide yo-yo championships, and he performed what could be argued to be one of the most difficult routines ever done in history, and he got 7th place. And it's not like everyone else was better than him. No, in fact, you could say that he was way better than everyone else. The truth is, he decided to lose his 4-year-long winning streak to prove a very, very valuable point. The rules don't matter. The championship tries to determine the one who's truly the best, the one who's truly perfect at yo-yo. But in reality, there's no correct way to play it, and much less is there any way to objectify such in the first place. And alas, this brings me to the end of my speech. So let's recap and see what we've learned so far. We've learned that we shouldn't try to create a perfect world, and we learn that we shouldn't try to pursue an objective perfection either, as it kind of doesn't exist. Instead, I have a better proposition. Live how you want. Seriously, it's impressive how many people don't realize they've been doing the wrong thing until it's too late. So consider this a start. A world with nothing to have is a world with everything to do after all. And a perfect world is always subjective. Thank you.
Hello, Manon. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Do you really live the way you want?
Oh, wow, okay.
Quite young, but
Well, personally, I'd say that I haven't yet discovered how I really want to live. I find that as it's a journey that will take a lot of time. So, in essence, I don't think so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Nolan.
Hello.
Do you really believe that anybody actually wants something that we could consider a perfect world?
Well, I don't think people could perhaps chase a world that is perfect for everyone, but more than anything, a world that's perfect for themselves, right? But in reality, there's always good things and there's bad things, and what people perceive as perfect will always be things that are always good. So what people typically tend to not realize is that there's always going to be negatives outweighing, so therefore there can't really be a perfect world. That's where I was going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know that. How do you define justice? Because you said it was unjust. There's injustice in
Right.
So how would you say you define justice?
Well, I'd say that that's a pretty interesting topic to go into. I did a speech of that actually a year ago, I think. Well, I'd say that justice is more than anything how the moral constraints of us and people around us kind of define what is good or bad, right? Because there isn't anything that is immediately considered good or bad. It's just something that we kind of create as our own image.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.